Why is traditional bread baking harder at high altitude or humidity? Imagine trying to bake a loaf of bread in a place where the air feels lighter than usual or sticks to your skin. That's what happens at high altitudes or in humid environments, and it can make bread baking quite tricky. When you go up in elevation, the air pressure drops. This means gases from yeast or baking powder expand faster, causing dough to rise more quickly than it should. If the dough rises too fast, the gluten network that gives bread its structure doesn't have enough time to develop properly. The result can be bread that rises and then collapses, leaving it dense or uneven inside. At the same time, lower air pressure makes water boil at lower temperatures. This causes liquids in the dough to evaporate faster, which can dry out the bread. Bakers often need to add more water or other liquids to keep the dough moist and prevent it from becoming crumbly or dry. Because the dough rises faster at high altitudes, fermentation times are shorter. This means less flavor develops because yeast needs time to produce those rich, complex tastes. Humidity adds another layer of complexity. In very humid places, flour and dry ingredients absorb moisture from the air, changing how the dough feels and behaves. Sometimes, bakers need to add a little more flour to keep the dough from becoming too sticky. In dry environments, the opposite happens. The dough can dry out quickly, so extra water or eggs might be needed to keep it soft and workable. To adapt, bakers often cut back on yeast or baking powder to slow the rise. They might also increase the amount of liquid in the recipe or give the dough longer, slower rises. Using cooler water can help control the fermentation speed. Some bakers even add extra flour or eggs to strengthen the dough's structure. These small adjustments help create bread with the right texture and flavor despite the challenging environment. Different countries have developed their own bread recipes to suit their local climate. For example, French bakers in the mountains of the Alps adjust their sourdough recipes to account for altitude. Similarly, traditional Mexican bread like bolillos often includes extra water or longer fermentation times to handle humidity. These adaptations show how bread-making techniques evolve based on where you are. In the end, baking bread at high altitude or in humid conditions requires understanding how air pressure and moisture change the process. Adjusting ingredients, fermentation times, and techniques helps bakers produce delicious, well-structured bread no matter the environment.